Hello, welcome to the Premier League show. The summer months, lots of transfer speculation, lots of stuff going on. There's obviously Chelsea just been taken over. Their new owners apparently want to spend £200 million in the transfer market this summer, which it sounds like a lot. I mean, it can equate to 4 players of 50 million, obviously, but it sounds like a lot of money. And people have been discussing whether or not that will take them closer to the title of people at the last fan standing. Let's have a look what the lads had to say on this week's show.
Is this a change for good? Is this a change for the worse? Like, because they talk about spending £200 million and stuff, and that sounds like a lot of money. But then when you look at the players that have left Chelsea, is that £200 million just to cover those ones that have left? Because if it is, then they're probably not going to improve. Lukaku deal has to probably go down as one of the worst ever. When you look at, they bought him for €100 million, and I think they're giving him on loan for like 10 million. That's one of the worst deals ever. But getting rid of Lukaku might actually improve the dressing room in the same way Aubameyang leaving Arsenal did. It's Tuchel's 3rd season, is it? So I think Chelsea are probably one that Chelsea Spurs possibly could push.
There you go, there the lads on the last fan standing. Head over to BetVictor's YouTube channel and watch the rest of that show. Make sure you comment, give the video a like, put your thoughts in the comment section over there. And subscribe as well to the BetVictor Last Fan Standing channel. Adam makes some good points there. There's obviously £200 million does sound a lot. We'd love it as Evertonians. We might have £2 to spend. But when you've got to also replace players, which is what Chelsea have got to do, obviously looks like they've done that deal with Romelu Lukaku to go back to Inter, albeit on loan to start. Rudiger has joined Real Madrid. Obviously he didn't stay. They've got other, they had problems at the end of the season. There's a couple of others who were out of contract and who are possibly leaving as well. And they're in that situation, I think, Thomas Tuchel at the moment. They finished 3rd. How can they bridge the gap to Manchester City and Liverpool, and how can they freshen up that side as well?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I do feel like this is the first proper summer for Thomas Tuchel to get his hands on things the way he wants to do them. I think last season Romelu Lukaku was somewhat forced on him, and I think we've seen that with the amount of games he played and the style Thomas Tuchel wants to play doesn't necessarily suit Romelu Lukaku. So yeah, I think for him he'll probably be thinking, well, finally I get to put my mark on the team properly, how I want to do things. Obviously he was at Paris Saint-Germain before that, and it never quite happened there. And he probably when he came to Chelsea probably thought, there's a little bit more scope, there's a little bit less player power, but of course you have got to deal with the owner, and now the owner's left and there's a new owner, and I think he'll be happy now that he has got a chance. And if people are leaving, then that's just for him. He probably thinks that creates opportunities to actually get what he wants in. And when you've got that kind of money, then it's easier to do. And there'll be other players. I mean, you talk about £200 million pot, but that's before they let other players go. Some of the midfielders, the likes of Ross Barkley, Loftus-Cheek, people like that could be expendable. So it's going to be an interesting summer for them. I think last year, I honestly thought with the sign of Romelu Lukaku, they were going to get a lot closer to Liverpool and Manchester City after winning the Champions League, but it never quite worked out like that. But obviously that also happened because of injuries as well. Both wing backs got injuries and they couldn't be replaced. And they've got some top players, and Chelsea on the day are a top side, but they just haven't got that consistency, or didn't have that consistency last season. So it's a big couple of months for them in the transfer market.
With obviously, like you say, I was the same when Lukaku came in. I thought, well, he's going to be the goal difference for them. He's going to be the fella that wins them those tight games. But it didn't work out like that. It didn't work out like that at all. And you're right, he probably was forced somewhat onto Thomas Tuchel. So with him going out the door, there's obviously a lot of rumours going around. Lewandowski was one of the rumours, but I think he's still angling to get to Barca, isn't he? And we'll talk about Bayern Munich in a bit more in a minute. But Richarlison, obviously, Everton, our forward, or our wide player has been linked with Chelsea. That apparently coming out of London now, that seems more likely than what Spurs does for Richarlison. Now he's a player who can play through the middle. I personally still think he's better wide, but is he someone who you see as a replacement for Richarlison? For Lukaku?
No, but I don't think there is a replacement for Lukaku because Lukaku's not the kind of player they want. You know, they've been linked with Richarlison, but they've also been linked with Raheem Sterling, which means to me that they want a fluid front three. They want a front three and they do obviously they play different styles to the other two. I think more the other two top sides because they do like to play with three at the back and they do like to play with, you know, Reece James and Chilwell on the other side, get real width like that. But I think they want that fluidness up front, and I think we saw that last season with Kai Havertz playing as more as the central striker and people buzzing off around them. So the fact that they're linked with Richarlison and Sterling suggests to me that that's what he's looking for, which is obviously a lot more of a modern, you know, a modern way of doing things. Obviously, they won't be. See, and both of them fit the bill quite. Richarlison fits the bill because he wouldn't be asked to do anything really out wide when you've got those wing backs playing the way they do, and I think that would really suit Richarlison. It's a role we've never quite seen him play for Everton because we just haven't had the players, the full backs to play high enough to allow him to play not quite as a striker but also not quite as a wide player, and he likes dropping as number 10. So I think Richarlison's versatility is ideal for what a team like Chelsea who will be playing in the Champions League, who will be playing, obviously would like to play, you know, up to 50 odd more than 50 odd games this season, more 60 games or whatever the maximum you can play is. So he would suit them, I think, as a squad player. I think we've said previously, and I think, you know, about Richarlison and how I've always thought when he's been linked with teams, and of course I don't want to see him leave Everton, but it feels like it's inevitable. But I've always felt like one of the big sides in Europe, he would fit them perfectly because he mightn't play on the Wednesday or the Tuesday in the Champions League game, but come the Saturday or the Sunday before the Champions League game or after the Champions League game, he's perfect. He's perfect, and then, you know, he will play a certain amount of Champions League games, and I think I know a lot of people scoff and say he's not good enough, but I think for a team like Chelsea, someone who is in the Champions League and wants to go deep into the Champions League, he's absolutely perfect for them. He mightn't start every game, but there's enough games. You generate enough games that you want players like him. And I think that's where Chelsea last season, they didn't have enough of those players. And I think, look at Man City's squad, look at Liverpool's squad, how they use their players, how they swap them round, how they change them, and they have that squad depth. 5 subs this season, and I you know, I don't want to lose Richarlison, obviously, but I'd rather see him go to a top side playing in the Champions League than, and obviously not in this country, but than go somewhere else.
Yeah, and obviously playing with better players, you get more opportunities and a bit more space because others are marked and stuff. So yeah, I mean, him and Sterling, and then you've obviously got Werner, and you've got.
Do you think they'd keep Werner though if they got those two?
Yeah, because I think he's still a handful.
I think they'd try and cash in on him personally.
I mean, I don't know, but he is still a handful because he's pacey and I know he misses chances.
I just don't. I just think he's one of those players where I think you could get a decent return for him if you you know. I think for him, I think a Werner could drop down to the next tier down and be very, very dangerous for someone if he started every single week. No, I know, because he'd start every single week and he'd get the amount of goals, you know, 15 goals a season for a club like where we are, the one we require. I just don't know if he does enough for Chelsea for him to really not take an offer on him.
One other player very quickly before we move on. They've been linked with this De Ligt, who obviously seemed everyone was after him at Ajax, and he went over to Juventus, didn't he? And it's not quite
injuries
have hindered him, but he's still only young.
Change of managers.
He looked a fantastic prospect, didn't he? Do you think that's something that they could do?
I think they could tempt them. I think it's the changing of the guard at Juventus, isn't it? Really, with the Chiellini's gone over to MLS. And I do think there is a changing of the guard there, as some of the older players start to, they're into their final days. So, and I think that's why he was bought, to take over from those players.
Yeah.
So Juventus might be looking and going, well, no, this is the time we need them. But of course, Juventus aren't exactly cash flush, and obviously one of the people who were fully behind the Super League, Agnelli was one of the principal men behind it. So they might be thinking this is exactly what we bought them for. But then Chelsea come rolling in with all that, with a nice pot of money, and go, you're going to be our main fella this year. We fully believe in what money talks ultimately, doesn't it?
Definitely. That will be interesting to see whether he is tempted out of Italy. We just mentioned the top two there. Obviously, Manchester City brought Haaland in. We spoke about that last week. They're still looking at Cucurella, still looking at Calvin Phillips as well, apparently. Trying to strengthen them. But Liverpool have lost Sadio Mane, which was expected. Obviously, Darwin Núñez come in last week, so everyone knew Mane was going. But a good signing for Bayern Munich. But do you think he'd be missed by Liverpool?
Yeah, massively. I think he'll be missed more than I think people are giving him credit for. He was their number one striker. He really was. Goals. I think goals and assists. He's up there with anyone in the last few seasons. Obviously, he was down to his last year, and the money they've got for him is fantastic. But I do think he'll be missed. I think he's that player who just used to get Liverpool. That used to get them that goal in a game where it might be a little bit tight. Do that little, he turned himself into a really, really good striker. And they will miss him. But of course, listen, they have got the players to replace him. They'd already brought, as you mentioned, Núñez in, and they've got other players there, haven't they? That have already started to fill the gaps and
Jota and Firmino, Diaz. They've got an embarrassment.
And of course, they've still got Salah, probably for one more year anyway.
And Salah for another year, yeah.
So yeah, it does feel like there is a starting to be a changing of the guard at Liverpool. But that's what has to happen, isn't it? Organically, that has to happen. When players are getting into the 30s, if they're not prepared to sign new contracts, then you've got to get as much as you can for them.
He's been an unbelievable signing for him. 6 years, he's been brilliant. They bought him, they've got more for him, and he's had 6 years out of him. So good bit of business. It's exactly how you hope to do business, isn't it? So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do. But good sign for Bayern Munich. Obviously, like we said before, Lewandowski wants out.
Yeah, but he's been slightly priced out the market, I think.
He's got a year left, hasn't he, on his contract?
Barcelona was his dream, and Barcelona haven't got any money as we stand.
As we stand right now, yeah.
I'm sure they'll make something happen because that's what they've done recently. They might have to rely on someone leaving. But it's gonna, he's probably Mane's going to become the main man there, and it's a different. Yeah, it's a different challenge.
I've read something today about Bayern Munich, saying that they're selling it as still able to attract the best players in the world, and because there was a worry in Germany that Bundesliga was losing too many, it wasn't able to attract top players in, and they're very much holding Mane up as a poster boy of look, we still can. They've
that's got nonsense.
No, I'm just saying that's
just nonsense.
They're trying to make themselves feel better.
But the thing about it is though, they don't have to feel bad that if they can't attract, because ultimately, I prefer the Bundesliga as a league and the structure and the competitiveness. And I know I say that, knowing that Bayern Munich have won the last 10. But
every other place is up for grabs.
It's up for grabs, and I understand that they are very much a Super League team in name. They could do with winning the Champions League a little bit more often, maybe. But they are obviously they're a different entities from what the rest of the Bundesliga is. And sometimes you're going to get that, aren't you? Because of the way things work. But yeah, I mean, there's no shame in saying all the big players come here to the Premier League because everyone can pay them decent money.
Pay big money.
And it's a different way. It's a different way of doing things, but that.
It is mad when you look at how good Borussia Dortmund are. Fantastic side. their wage bill's dwarfed by, say, Everton's. Everton's wage bill massively dwarfed Dortmund are in Champions League finals and in the last 10 years. And
so who's getting it right?
So, well, quite obviously not us. And I don't just mean Everton, there's a lot of clubs in England
the whole of the Premier
whose
League.
wage bill is bigger than what people like Dortmund.
Because we're all trying to...
It's just that league.
Because we've all stupidly bought into this thing that we can all grab hold of the brass ring, and we can't. And there's going to have to be some realisation of that pretty soon.
I think the thing as well is, you look at, this has gone slightly off topic, but it's fine. You look at things like the Europa League final at Rangers. Rangers, like, without being disrespectful to them, they're like a championship level player because they can't pay huge wage. Rangers years ago when they had a lot of money, they had fantastic players. They were brilliant in that. They were unlucky to lose in the final. Even, they lost, team they lost to, Frankfurt, they've been put together for not mad money. And they've gone to a final of Europe's second competition. So those clubs are getting it right more than Premier League clubs, because our clubs go in and get knocked out. West Ham got knocked out. I know they've done brilliantly, but they got knocked out. Leicester got knocked out in the Conference League. Haven't been knocked out in the Europa League. And yet these teams, doing it budget-wise, have it better. German teams, a lot of German teams have it better.
It's again, though, that's the Premier League working against those teams. The rigours of the Premier League working against those teams. That's the problem.
And for me, paying too much money, because I think we've all followed, if we pay massive wages, it means we're going to be boss, and it's proven it doesn't have to be like that. So Bayern Munich, they've also brought Ryan Gravenberch in as well from Holland, who's a very good player. So they're doing some other bit of business to trying to freshen that side up, and they've still got people like Kingsley Coman and
my heart bleeds for them. They're in a really bad spot.
They're in a bad place. Having won 10 Bundesligas on the run.
Bad spot.
Just we'll finish now, but to see anyone, I mean, Arsenal, let's talk about Arsenal very briefly to finish, because they're very much in the news this week. Spending more money again. Still after Rafinha as well. As brought Fabio Vieira in this week. Can they get closer to the top two?
Not without a centre forward, they can't.
No, okay. Well, Gabriel Jesus is one who... It doesn't seem that way. Obviously, Eddie Nketiah is re-signed.
They've bought players, but Spurs have bought players.
So...
And Spurs are looking at Chelsea, thinking, we can get above Chelsea this season.
So you still put Arsenal just outside of
so
that
right striker, now? So they get a striker.
Is that the big difference?
Yeah. Goals. They want a striker. Like I said, it's gone.
But what about Chelsea then? Because... Obviously, Lukaku's gone on. We're talking about them not having a real out-and-out striker. Are they vulnerable? Do you think? Well, there's a different question as we finish. Are Spurs in a better position to finish in the top three now than Chelsea? Then would you say? Just right now, it could change in the next 4 weeks. Signings change everything. But what I mean is, Spurs have got Kane and Son who are fantastic.
They are probably just around the same mark as them, just because
of the forwards.
And because of who they've bought.
And obviously they've bought Basuma and they've got Jed Spence.
Chelsea will bring in good players.
Yeah, that's right.
And so it doesn't really matter because it's June.
That's it. It's dead air. It changes weekly, doesn't it?
June, the league table looks boss for us.
It does. We're all right in June. Yeah, it's quite good. It's quite good. There you go. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. With Chelsea, what will Chelsea do? Can he, is Richarlison? Can Richarlison be a good replacement for Lukaku in the means of it allows Chelsea, like Ped said, to have a fluid front three, not necessarily a back-to-goal striker. Will Chelsea be able to get any closer to the top two? Will Spurs be able to get above Chelsea or Arsenal? The real deal this season? Let us know in the comments. Make sure you get over to the BetVictor website and watch the last fan standing.
YouTube channel.
Yeah, the YouTube channel. Get over there. Give the video a thumbs up, give the comments, get in the comments and put your opinion over to the lads. Thanks for watching and we'll see you later.